Hello everyone, my name is Orca, and in this video I'm gonna cover my first impression of the Elydium recon ship called Taikin. What I really like about this ship is the sheer tactical value in its trickster modules and stuff. It's something you don't see every day, it's something you don't have in any other ship than in this one. I was really looking forward to flying this ship, to building it up step by step and everything in between, but it didn't seem at first that it could be abused at some point, but with all of that power in movement terms and trickster terms, and combined with the sheer weaponry power it had, it kind of went a bit overboard for a recon ship. All of that can be forgiven at some point, but after like 3 months or so after the release of this ship, there hasn't been any significant balancing changes in it whatsoever, and if I remember correctly, the only change was a minor buff on the weaponry on somewhere in April, and the recent change was all about making the other modules feel significant again, so it just enriched the whole weaponry and the other capabilities of this ship, and it didn't really go well in my eyes in terms of balancing attempts and everything. Okay, so let's go over the modules and modifiers one more time. Last time I covered them was in the Taikin showcase stream. Let's start with the engines. So for instance, the teleportation sphere and the emergency jump are pretty much one and the same module, but they are triggered by just different things. So the teleportation sphere, we all know, is triggered by the space button, and it's totally up to the player. And the emergency jump is like the emergency barrier. It triggers when you're really low with your health and just propels you 2,000 meters in front. So you might wanna take that into account. When you have this equipped, you might end up in a wall. In the capacitor slots, we have the Camouflage shield refractor, which basically cloaks your ship from radar, but you are still visible. The negative effects from this module is it eats your shields up, but sometimes this module seems like way too difficult to battle than the ship as a whole. There should be more thought put into this module. It should be revised. I don't know, to just run out when the shields run out, somewhat like that, and not a constant cloak unless you fire or something like that. It should be limited at some point. In the shield modifiers, we only have the static and combat shield generator, which we basically know what they do with Targa. So I'm just gonna skip ahead and go to the hull. The adapter membrane, we all know what it does. Well, the virtual particle condenser is really powerful because it heals you up with each jump, and it gets really powerful with the jump crystals. It's a must-have on the Taikin, and the emergency status system may be also a must-have because it grants you total invulnerability on the collision damage. So it's something that you should have equipped, but there is a huge negative side to it. With each 1,000 points of damage, you get like a 4-second stun, so it's not really that valuable. In the CPU slots, we have the usual Predator's Instinct from Targa, so I'm just gonna skip ahead to the warp targeting. The warp targeting is basically a Valkyrie system just for Taikin. It grants a huge amount of extra damage. The recons are not a damage dealer. Why would anyone do something like this is beyond me. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. This warp targeting thing should go away, like for real, and not never come back. Okay, let's go to the active modules now. We have here the missile reload. We all know what it does from Targa, so I'm just gonna skip ahead to the crystal distillation. This is just a gas that expands and damages everyone that manages to get into it. It's a great beacon denial thing, but many people have issues with that, but it's not really that huge. So let's go to the Satellite Crystal. Satellite Crystal, well, it kind of annoys me because you see here there's a description. It just states attaches to the ship and significantly speeds it up. In active mode, detaches and attacks the target, slowing it down and reducing its maneuverability. Okay, where's the maneuverability stat thing here? I don't see how much it reduces somebody's maneuverability. So this is my main problem with the Satellite Crystal and pretty much any other modifier or module or whatever. It states it does something, but there's no stat that can confirm its options, its power, its anything. So this is my main frustration with this. So I really hope that they introduce the additional stats for these special modules, special modifiers and stuff like that. So I hope it gets implemented. Let's go to the Inhibitor Crystal. The Inhibitor Crystal is basically a skill shot weapon. Again, it's a weapon on a recon. It's a total no-go. It's just way too much in terms of damage. As you can see here, it deals from 3 to 21,000 damage, EM damage. Any stat is actually not of any significance because you just have to look at the damage and you will see that this is just pure overkill. A recon doing 21k with just one active module. It's just surreal. So this must be balanced out. It just needs to, I don't know, figure out something. I mean, I'm not the developer here, but I clearly see an overkill when it's in front of me. So this is pretty much it. The Harvest Crystal, I can deal with this. It's just a micro locator upgraded to a different level. I don't see any problem with it. On the other hand, the Crystal Infiltrator is way too much. I mean, it applies to everyone in your team. If somebody gets tagged with this module, they're basically dead. It's just a delayed insta-kill. I'm not even amused by this module. It's just too much. They should stay at 10%. This is just the Mark 1. So this Mark 1 has 26 additional damage. I'm just gonna stop here and just say this is a delayed overkill. So this is a delayed overkill and this is basically skill shot overkill. It should be like, I don't know, 5-10k at most. So the last one is the Hologram Crystal. It's basically a holo ship upgraded, so that's pretty much it for the active modules. There's nothing more to say. Let's go to the missiles. We have the Crystal Mine. Well, it's basically the standard mine, the default proximity mine, with the extra of slowing down the module reload and weapon cooling. So that's pretty much it for the actives and missiles. Okay, let's go over the weapons real quick. We have the Tyal, Tag, and the Rock Beamer. The Tyal is basically a rocket launcher with auto aim, and that's the main issue with it. The projectiles are very maneuverable. Once you get a lock on, it's just party time with this weapon. It's a nice weapon, but it needs more balancing in terms of projectile speed, maneuverability of those projectiles, or just the lock-on system. So the Tag, just as I mentioned before, the Satellite Crystal having no stats whatsoever. This weapon has the same issue. It goes through the shields, eats hull, and there's no stat confirming how much damage it does. I'm left with manufacturing a weapon that I don't know what it does in general terms, so I have to manufacture it to figure out on my own how much damage does a Tag do. The other issue is the whole idea bypassing the shields. So I'm not sure how dangerous this weapon can be if we would have the full-on stats listed here. As for the Tarok, we had a fair share of this weapon in PvP and other modes probably. I'm just gonna say this, that this weapon is a upgraded version of the phaser, but it's auto lock, auto aim kind of a thing. No matter how you shoot the sphere, it always tracks the target. Total no-go in my book. It deals too much damage. We are still talking about a recon, and recons are not a damage dealer. So this weapon needs to be either a skill shot weapon with spheres that do not track and with obviously less damage than it is now, but all in all, it's an interesting approach, interesting mechanic. It doesn't really need any explanation. It's that obvious. It's overkill. It's an overkill weapon just as much as the modules I mentioned before. Tharok Beamer desperately needs balancing out. So that's pretty much it for the whole modules, modifiers, and weapons from the Taikin. To cap this first impression video about the Taikin, all I can say is it's an interesting ship with interesting mechanics and everything, but it desperately needs more work, more balancing, more of everything pretty much to make it a decent ship and not an overkill. In open space, it's a ton of fun. It's something you would always want in a ship, but with all of this piled up, it really begins to feel like a total overkill. It just feels like wrong. I gave up on this ship personally because it feels like not okay to play it against other people, because other people are probably flying something else. May it be a Tharga or just a standard or premium ship, I just feel overpowered flying this ship. Apart from that, I really hope we see decent balancing very soon, because there's a huge patch probably coming, and I really hope it's going to be around Taikin just as much as it would be over the new content, and that's pretty much it. I really hope you liked the video. Let me know if you didn't like something. Leave it in the comment sections. Subscribe to my channel or don't. So before I go, there's a small thing I would like to point out, a small Easter egg which is located just here, so you all can just take your time and go to the Elydium, just watch this picture here, and you may see something interesting. So until next time, see ya.